The Walt Disney Company is probably hoping that when people watch the trailer for the upcoming Star Wars film The Mandalorian and Grogu, they feel a powerful wave of nostalgia. Not nostalgia for 1977, when Star Wars first changed the world. Not even for 2015, when The Force Awakens came out and became the highest-grossing movie in U.S. history. No, Disney seems to want to take us back to 2019, a year when the company was at the top of the world. Now, why 2019? Because that year, Disney practically owned the box office. 7 out of the 10 biggest movies of the year were Disney releases. An 8th featured Spider-Man, a character owned by Disney's Marvel but released by Sony. The Lion King and Aladdin remakes, Toy Story 4, Frozen 2, multiple Marvel hits, and The Rise of Skywalker all came out that year. Together, those movies made around $10 billion worldwide. Even though The Rise of Skywalker didn't perform as strongly as the earlier sequels, Disney had a backup victory: the debut of The Mandalorian on Disney+. That show, with Baby Yoda, Grogu, was an instant cultural sensation. At the same time, Disney's big corporate moves, like buying 20th Century Fox, were even cheered by some fans because it meant more Marvel characters could appear in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In other words, Disney could do little wrong in the eyes of audiences or investors. But then came the COVID-19 pandemic, and everything changed. Movie theaters closed, franchises slowed down, and the dream of repeating 2019's success became impossible. Over the past few years, Disney has tried to stay relevant, sometimes by embracing social change. In 2022, employees at Pixar and Marvel pushed the company to speak out against Florida's so-called "Don't Say Gay" law, which banned discussions of sexual orientation or gender identity in elementary schools. Disney eventually condemned the law. The company also began to diversify its movies and shows with projects like Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Turning Red, and The Acolyte. But not all audiences reacted the same way. Some loved the news stories. Others complained that Disney was too political. By the time CEO Bob Iger stepped down and Bob Chapek took over, Disney seemed nervous. Chapek stumbled through controversies, and when Iger returned, he tried to reassure critics by promising that future projects would not push any kind of agenda. That phrase, vague as it was, made many fans and employees worry that Disney was retreating from meaningful representation. In 2023 and 2024, that fear started to look real. The company erased a transgender character's identity in a Pixar streaming series. It altered Elio, a Latino-focused Pixar film, by removing a queer-coded character. Disney rebranded its diversity, equity, and inclusion programs to focus more on profit. It released Marvel's Ironheart, a Black-led series, all at once instead of weekly, which felt like a downgrade compared to its bigger shows. And then there was the Jimmy Kimmel incident. He was suspended from ABC after making comments about MAGA World reactions to the murder of Charlie Kirk. Affiliates owned by Sinclair and Nexstar even pulled his show from the air. Disney eventually backtracked, but the damage was done. To top it all off, Disney raised prices on its streaming service again, its third increase in 3 years. Now, let's be honest. Even in its more progressive moments, Disney has never been a purely moral company. The push for diversity was always partly about building a modern image and making money. And in fact, some of those projects did make money. Black Panther was a global blockbuster. Captain Marvel passed $1 billion. Diverse casts helped bring fresh energy to tired franchises. On the other hand, the watered-down version of Elio was one of Pixar's lowest-grossing films. Clearly, playing it safe doesn't guarantee success either. Meanwhile, did anyone really subscribe to Disney Plus because a supporting character was detransed? Probably not. But people did cancel subscriptions after the Kimmel mess. And Disney's stock price dipped as the controversy spread. If the idea was to win over mega supporters, good luck with that. Many of them are still furious about things like the same-sex kiss in Lightyear, female leads in Star Wars, or black actors in superhero movies. That's not a group that will ever be fully satisfied unless Disney completely surrenders to their worldview, and that would alienate other audiences even more. And so, we circle back to Disney's dream of 2019. Back then, there were always some grumbles. People saying remakes were too woke, or that queer characters were token additions. But those arguments were drowned out by sheer success. $10 billion buys executives a lot of confidence. In 2019, even a so-called disappointing Star Wars movie still made over $1 billion worldwide. Today, the entertainment world looks very different. Movie grosses are down across the board. Streaming services bleed money if they overspend. And audiences are harder to please. Yet Disney seems more scared than most. Maybe that's because the heights of 2019 made them believe unstoppable growth was possible forever. When reality proved otherwise, the company panicked. Here's the truth. Nostalgia can't fix everything. Another Zootopia movie won't calm the people angry about Jimmy Kimmel. A new Mandalorian adventure may be fun, fan-friendly, and perfectly watchable, but it won't save the company from its deeper problems. Disney isn't doomed. It still has powerful brands and a strong creative community. But it needs courage, not fear. It needs to stop chasing a perfect 2019 that will never come again. The real magic, the kind Walt Disney himself once believed in, isn't about hiding from change or clinging to the past. It's about creating stories that matter to people today, stories that make them laugh, cry, and maybe even see the world in a new way.